Hey BookTube, welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg. I'm so glad you could join me today. As you know, all month long in June, I've been dedicating some videos to the topic of the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And that's what this video is about. I have gone through my library, not comprehensively, but just from the top of my head, some of the books that I know that I have on D-Day. And I wanted to show you guys in case you were interested in getting some book recommendations. Even if you're not reading along, we're doing a buddy read this month as well. I'm doing it with Bill Rutenberg at the Rutenberg Library and Brian M.R., who's a frequent contributor on Boxer and Discord and elsewhere on YouTube and BookTube. And right now we're currently reading Stephen Ambrose's D-Day. Which is fantastic. We're checking in every week on Boxer with our thoughts. We're taking it in chunks. I've got a couple more chapters, and then I need to leave my messages for the guys. But so far, we're moving through it, and we hope to have our book chat towards the end of the month or a little bit after. Who knows? Maybe around the 4th of July weekend or something. I think we'll be done with it then. But we're cranking through it. We just started it a couple weeks ago. So as you can see, I've been tabbing it as I'm going. It's a great read. I haven't read this. And I wanted to share with you the fact that as I go through some of these other books that I have about D-Day, and I have read Colonel Nightingale's The Human Face of D-Day. I have not studied D-Day in earnest. I have read about D-Day as an ancillary feature of, like, say, more comprehensive histories of World War II. So nothing that really goes into just this one aspect, this one stage or phase of the war. I haven't done that up until now. And I'm really excited to do that because, you know, I seem to glom on to, or not glom on, but there's always one battle in a war that I really am intrigued by, and I tend to make myself a semi-expert on it. With Civil War, I could draw you a map of Gettysburg. I could show you the movements of the troops on both sides each day. I can have a lot of fun with Gettysburg because I have studied that battle in depth. Now, I want to do the same thing with D-Day. Not just one battle, obviously. It's the beginning, of the liberation. It's the beginning of the final phase of World War II. So this is going to take me a while, but and that's why I've been collecting these books, because I really want to educate myself and know everything there is to know about D-Day. So having said that, let me just tell you, these books I'm going to show you, I haven't read them yet. So I'm telling you up front. But they're in my library, and I do plan on reading them. So anyway, I thought I'd share with you a selection of the books that I have on D-Day and that I'm looking forward to reading. And then maybe this might sound interesting to you, and you might want to pick up one of these. So, and you know what? Another caveat, I know I'm probably forgetting a few. I have libraries in almost every room of the house except for 2 rooms. The guest room and Martine's office. The rest of the house is fair game, and I've got books in just about everywhere else. So, but these were just as I was going along, quickly zooming through and kind of looking like this one. I think, yes. So, having said that, let me get right into it. Now, some of these are chunksters, but for those of you who like really meaty history and military histories, I think these are going to be 2 go-tos. And now I've had these for a while, and I need to get to them. So let's hop into, and I just recently read a book from James Holland on the Burma 44 campaign, but this is Normandy 44, D-Day and the Epic 77-Day Battle for France by James Holland. This was put out by Atlantic Monthly. No, wait. Yep, an Atlantic Monthly Press. Big chunkster of a book. and there's the famous landing zones and all that. So I'll just give you, this book actually came out at the time of the 75th anniversary of D-Day. So now we're at the 80th, so it's time I got this thing read. It says, this is a new history that reframes our understanding and appreciation of the momentous Normandy campaign. All right. Yet as familiar as it is, James Holland makes clear in his definitive work many parts of the Overlord campaign, as it was known, are still shrouded in myth and assumed knowledge. Drawing freshly on widespread archives and on the testimonies of eyewitnesses, Holland relates the extraordinary planning that made Allied victory in France possible. Indeed, the story of how hundreds of thousands of men and mountains of material were transported across the English Channel is as dramatic a human achievement as any battlefield exploit. The brutal landings on the 5 beaches and subsequent battles across the plains and through the lanes and hedgerows of Normandy comprised a campaign that, in terms of daily casualties, was worse than any in World War I. Let's see here. These stories come vividly to life in conferences where the strategic decisions of Eisenhower, Rommel, Montgomery, and other commanders were made, and through the memories of paratrooper Lieutenant Dick Winters of Easy Company, British Corporal and Tanker Reg Spittles, Thunderbolts pilot Archie Maltby, German Ordnance Officer Hans Heinz, French resistance leader Robert Leblanc, and many others. For both sides, the challenges were enormous. The Allies confronted a disciplined German army stretched to its limit, which nonetheless caused tactics to be adjusted on the fly. Ultimately, ingenuity, determination, and immense materiel strength, delivered with operational brilliance, made the difference. So, yeah. It's Normandy 44 by James Holland. You can't go wrong with James Holland. I have read some of his other work. I haven't read this one yet, but like I said, I've read his book on the Burma 44 campaign. I've read the Rise of Germany, and then I have his second volume in his trilogy, which he has not completed. I think it's called The Allies Strike Back. That's the next one that I have to read. Now, here's another big one. Here's another big. I'm glad Bill and I didn't choose this one to buddy read, because I don't think we would have finished this in a month. We wouldn't have finished it in 2 months. What with our schedules, it's about 1,000 pages long. But boy, I think I have everything I need to read on D-Day with this stack that I'm going to show you. So I think I'm good. I'm going to slow down on the D-Day purchases for now. But this is Sand and Steel, the D-Day Invasion and the Liberation of France by Peter Caddick Adams. This is part of his 3-volume set, which I have right behind my head and my seat. We've got Sand and Steel, Snow and Steel, which is on the Battle of the Bulge, and Fire and Steel. So, yeah, I've got those 3 volumes, but this is all about the D-Day invasion. And it is big. It's from Oxford University Press. Let's see here. Tuesday, 6 June 1944 was a day like no other. So begins this history of D-Day. Again, another book that was published around the 75th anniversary. I'm surprised we didn't get more of a glut for the 80th, which is surprising to me. I've seen a couple that touch on it, but maybe I'm just missing it. But they did a big push for the 75th. Anyway, it was a day like no other for good reason. The invasion of Normandy by Allied forces was perhaps the greatest and most consequential military operation of modern times, heralding the beginning of the end of World War II in Europe. Its hold on the imagination remains no less commanding than when the news of it first broke. So I knew, without going over things that have already been spoken about, it says, doing justice even to the events of that one day poses huge challenges because of the huge number of books and films on D-Day across the decades. It says here, most have viewed it through either too mythic or too narrow a lens, focusing on a particular operation, nationality, outfit, or individual. American, British, and Canadian troops were dropped from the air or landed from thousands of vessels on 5 beaches that were Operation Neptune and overlords designated targets. Those who disembarked on Juno confronted a world apart from those scaling the cliffs at Pont du Hoc or clawing their way up the sands of Omaha. The operation to gain a foothold in Europe depended on a complex and shifting array of contingencies. Disposition of German troops and their degree of preparation behind uneven defenses, the movement of tides, the weather. Peter Caddick Adams has walked nearly every inch of the Contentin Peninsula and spent years interviewing veterans and eyewitnesses. Sand and Steel is an account in full of D-Day, one whose terrible velocity builds with each minute. No, this is great. He gives a thorough and clear-eyed assessment of German readiness, too, behind the Atlantic Wall. It says, at the heart of this magisterial, immersive, and deeply humane book are the beaches and landing zones, and those whose fate it was either to take or defend them. Capturing the full extent of D-Day is beyond the reach of any one account. But Sand and Steel comes closer than anything attempted to this point. So, yeah. That sounds like it's going to be a rigorous study. And again, minus the index and notes. It's a handy, it's a doable 897-page book. All right. So Sand and Steel, The D-Day Invasion and Liberation of France by Peter Caddick Adams. Let's put that one here. I'll start stacking them over here. What else do I have for you guys? So something a little different. This was going to be part of my. I have a book haul coming up to video for you guys from Book Outlet. Book Outlet was having one of their sales again, and for some reason, though, this hardcover was way marked down. And I didn't even know about this. Did you know that Teddy Roosevelt, President Theodore Roosevelt's son, was on the beaches at Normandy? Did you know that? I was just like, oh, I got to know all about this. This is so fascinating. Well, I picked up this book, His Father's Son, The Life of General Ted Roosevelt Jr. by Tim Brady. And there's a picture of the landings at the beaches there. And there's a picture of Ted Roosevelt Jr. at the top. He had his own Jeep called Rough Rider. So I wanted to include this as just kind of like another. So all these books kind of take a different. Well, some of them are more military history, but some take a slightly different angle. So I wanted to include things that were a little different from each other. Let's see here. General Omar Bradley said of him, "I have never known a braver man or a more devoted soldier. But for much of his life, Theodore Roosevelt's son, Ted, seemed born to live in his father's shadow. With the same wide smile, winning charm, and vigorous demeanor, Ted possessed limitless potential, even the White House within his reach." In the First World War, Ted braved gunfire and gas attacks in France to lead his unit into battle. Yet even after returning home a hero, he was unable to meet the expectations of a public that wanted a man just like his father. A diplomat, writer, and a man of great adventure, Ted remained frustrated by his lack of success in the world of politics, witnessing instead the rise of his cousin Franklin to the office that had once seemed his for the taking. Then, with World War II looming, Ted re-enlisted in his mid-50s. With a gimpy leg and a heart condition, he was well past his prime, but his insistence on being in the thick of combat proved a vital asset. Paired with the irascible Terry de la Mesa Allen Sr., Ted soon distinguished himself as a frontline general in a campaign that often brought him into conflict with another hard fighter, George Patton. On D-Day, Ted became the oldest soldier and the only general in the Allied forces to storm the beach in the first wave. That's so cool. Hobbling across the sand with his cane in one hand and a pistol in the other. His valor and leadership on Utah Beach became the stuff of legends and earned him the Medal of Honor. His Father's Son delves into the life of a man as courageous, colorful, and unwavering as any of the Roosevelt clan and offers up a definitive portrait of one of America's greatest military heroes. His Father's Son. Doesn't that sound great? It's just, I love learning new things I did not know before. Let's see. There's Ted. There's some pictures of Ted right there. Let's see what he's doing here. I'll get some pictures of. Oh, here's a good shot of him in France for the World War One. Yes, indeed. He does have his father smile a lot. He's got his mouth. Yeah. How cool is that? Oh, there he is with Patton. What? Right over here. Look at that. And there's old Rough Rider right there. So yeah, I picked that one up in that book haul. So I took it out of there. So when I go through my book haul, I'll just let you know. I've taken a few out of the of a book haul from book outlet because I did find a few books on D-Day I wanted to get. Okay, so let's go back to classics now, shall we? I did also pick this up from book outlet because this is a classic and I haven't read it. This was on one of my when we were picking out a book to buddy read for D-Day, the D-Day commemoration for this month. Bill and I kind of just decided on the Stephen Ambrose book. But this one was in the running. Sorry, I just had to close up a couple things there. This one was in the running, but I still want to read it. This is Cornelius Ryan's The Longest Day, the classic epic of D-Day. And I'm trying to rent the movie. I thought it would be free somewhere on some type of streaming service, but The Longest Day is a movie which, I talked about for this month. I've been watching documentaries on D-Day. There's a ton of different things on YouTube, Netflix, Prime Video too. So I've been kind of just queuing up things that I've been finding. I watched Saving Private Ryan again. The opening sequence is insane. Oh my gosh, so insane. Whew. But yeah, The Longest Day, I wanted to watch the movie as well. I did not know Cornelius Ryan. He was born in the 1920s in Dublin, Ireland. That's where Martine is from, and where he was raised. That is fascinating. Okay, here we go. The Longest Day is Cornelius Ryan's unsurpassed account of D-Day, a book that endures as a masterpiece of military history. In this compelling tale of courage and heroism, glory and tragedy, Ryan painstakingly recreates the fateful hours that preceded and followed the massive invasion of Normandy to retell the story of an epic battle that would turn the tide against world fascism and free Europe from the grip of Nazi Germany. So this book, first published in 1959, is a must for anyone who loves history. That's me, that's you. As well as for anyone who wants to better understand how free nations prevailed at a time when darkness enshrouded the earth. And boy, don't we need that story now more than ever. Yes. So I'm excited to dig into that. Oh, no. Oh, God. Sorry. There's lots of pictures and there's pictures and bodies and showing the brutality. Just, it's war. That's what it does. It's not a fan of war, but I'm a fan of people doing the right thing when faced with evil. That's what I'm a fan of. It's just like you have to fight evil, people. You can't reason with it. You can't suppose the other person, in a war, like, obviously in this case it would be Hitler and the Nazis. You can't have a discussion with another side that doesn't share even the same values or comes at things from a radically, diametrically opposed position. You have to fight, or else you'll get steamrolled. Because you can be a person of peace, but if you think someone else who's on the, like Hitler is on the warpath, you think they're going to respect that? Nah, you're going to be one of the ones who's going to be a statistic. You've got to fight evil, people. And even more important than that, you've got to have the discernment to know evil when you see it. And not a lot of people have that ability to discern it. So, anyway, kind of went a little philosophical there, but yeah, Cornelius Ryan's The Longest Day. Really looking forward to reading that one. And now, this book I'm really excited about. This is a Casemate book. Nice big chunkster, too. Over 600 pages, but, you know, I wanted at least one book. Oh, and I have another one on my Kindle. So, I knew I'd start forgetting the books that I have on D-Day. This is one of the two books that I have that talks about the German perspective from D-Day. So, I'm really, really stoked about this one. This is Countdown to D-Day, the German Perspective. The German High Command in Occupied France, 1944, by Peter Margaritis. What a fun last name that is. Yeah, this was published in 2019. As you can see, Casemate book. Very big book. Let's see here. Lots of blurbs on the back. This one, where is this? Well, I have a lot of blurbs on the back. So let's see here. It just says an accurate, exciting chronicle of the day-to-day machinations of the German generals as they struggle to prepare to meet the enemy in the West. What I'm finding interesting is I don't have anything else to speak on that unless I can show you the I could read some of the foreword. Let's see here. So how is this book structured? Well, the first part is on the Atlantic Wall, and then part 2 is Les Sanglots Longs. I don't know, that's French, and I don't like French. That language is not one of my favorites, if you can believe it. Most people just, oh, it's such a lovely language. I don't know. It's a little too nasally, and there's too many things I will never be able to pronounce. Give me hard consonants, please. That's what I want. Yes. Anyway, this is going into big detail, a lot of detail from the German perspective. So I think this is going to be a nice balance of, allies. And the other one I have that I told you about just now is it's on Kindle, and it's called D-Day Through German Eyes. And that one is a collection of first-person reports of the German soldiers who witnessed, who were there for the invasion. So that's another great book to have in your arsenal for going on that theme. So Countdown to D-Day, The German Perspective by Peter Margaritis. It's from Casemate. Then I was really excited to see this book show up on Hamilton Book, because then I have another book haul I need to film. I had another huge book haul from Hamilton Book, and to see Hamilton Book, they get a lot of different things from a lot of different publishers that just send them their stuff, their remainders, their leftovers, whatever. And I have never seen this type of book before. I have never seen this publisher before, but apparently these are like taken from the actual official reports, and bound them up. We've got tons of maps. So let's just show you. I saw this and I was like, this is going to be perfect for my D-Day commemoration videos. And so excited to pick up Cross-Channel Attack, U.S. Army in World War II, European Theater of Operations. Gordon A. Harrison is the writer, with foreword by Jerry D. Morlock. This is put out by Whitman Publishing, which I've never heard of before, but as you can see, it's got 24 fold-out maps inside, and the maps are kind of at the back. It's very interesting. They're kind of kept in the back in this little fold. And you take it out. You talk about, wanting to take a deep dive. So we start, there's and then that's map 1, right? And here's map 2. And then map 2 gets even more crazy. Wow. Okay. So then you gotta make sure I'm trying to make sure I'm folding them all up correctly so I can. Then map 3. This is development of the lodgment. Map 4. Sealing off the battlefield. This is cool stuff. Are you seeing that? There you go. So these maps in themselves are so useful. Let me put this back in here when I'm done. Okay. So it's interesting. It looks like paper's been cut off in the bottom, but that's just where the maps go. Anyway, let me read to you what this is about and what this is a part of here. More than 3 million brave Americans fought in the European theater of operations during World War II. How did they reach victory? A crucial part of their story is told in this volume from Whitman Publishing, based on the definitive United States Army in World War II series by the U.S. Army's Center of Military History. So that's where this book came from. They had another book in there. They had 2 more books in this series. I think the other one was picks up where this one leaves off. So I think I might, and that one's like at $9.95 on Hamilton Books. So I might pick that one up because it picks up right where this one ends as the Allies drive into France after they make the landing. It has kind of like that older typeface, It's a different type of book for sure. But I was like, what a resource, right? What a resource. It's got 2 column pages, the roots of strategy. Well, look at all these old grainy photos. Yeah, it's an older book, but I love it. Like low quality black and white pictures. But I don't care. I like this stuff. We got some pictures of artillery, bombardments of the marshalling yards. Look at that stuff. So anyway, I wanted this because it's from the U.S. Army Center of Military History, and again, it's part of the larger official story. This United States Army in World War II series. So you might see another book in this series again on this channel. Next time I'm in Hamilton Book, I'm going to keep my eye out for these Whitman Publishing series, and they always have this riveted. If you see this rivet right here on the side, each book has this kind of riveted stamp on it, so it has a kind of a branded look with the rivets. Anyway, Cross-Channel Attack. I was so excited to see that, and I think it was like $7.95, and I got it. I got it. Woo! Okay, so then another book. Where's the other one I wanted to show you guys? Oh, poo. Well, I might pause the video because I know I have one more. Got 2 more to show you, but I really have 3 more to show you. This is by John C. McManus, who wrote the series Behind My Head Again in the Pacific Theater. He wrote To the End of the Earth, Fire and Fortitude, and Island Infernos. But this book came out well before that, I think. Pretty sure. I picked up The Dead and Those About to Die. D-Day, the Big Red One at Omaha Beach. I had seen those before, and I also picked this one up at Book Outlet, super cheap. So if you're interested, check out bookoutlet.com. And just type in John C. McManus and see if this book's still available. But let's see here. This is a white-knuckle account of the 1st Infantry Division's harrowing D-Day assault on the eastern sector of Omaha Beach. Acclaimed historian John C. McManus has written a gripping history that will stand as the last word on this titanic battle. Nothing is ever the last word. You know that. Nicknamed the Big Red One, 1st Division had fought from North Africa to Sicily, earning a reputation as stalwart warriors on the front lines and rabble-rousers in the rear. Yet on D-Day, these jaded combat veterans melded with fresh-faced replacements to accomplish one of the most challenging and deadly missions ever. As the men hit the beach, their equipment destroyed or washed away, soldiers cut down by the dozens, courageous heroes emerged, men such as Sergeant Raymond Strojny, who grabbed a bazooka, engaged in a death duel with a fortified German anti-tank gun. What's this? T5? It says T5. I'm not sure what ranking that is. T5 Joe Pinder, a former minor league pitcher who braved enemy fire to save a vital radio. Lieutenant John Spaulding, a former sports writer. And Sergeant Phil Strazik, a truck driver who together demolished a German strongpoint overlooking Easy Red, where hundreds of Americans had landed. Along the way, McManus explores the Gap Assault Team engineers who dealt with the extensive mines and obstacles, suffering nearly a 50% casualty rate. Highlights officers such as Brigadier General Willard Wyman and Colonel George Taylor, who led the way to victory, and punctures scores of myths surrounding this long misunderstood battle. So the result is history at its finest, the unforgettable story of the Big Red One's 19 hours of hell and their ultimate triumph on June 6, 1944. So, again, just this one's very this is very focused on 1st Division's experience, so that's another aspect that kind of, I wanted, again, to have a wide assortment of books for you to choose from if you're looking for more D-Day material. So, yeah, looking forward to reading this one. And the Big Red One. There you have it. All right, and then I got this book from University Press of Kansas when they were having one of their sales. And this writer, I've heard of his other books. I think I get him confused with a political writer, or maybe it's the same guy. But anyway, this is D-Day, 1944. Very simply, edited by Theodore A. Wilson, and it's got a foreword by John S.D. Eisenhower. All right, I had to get that. So not too big of a book. So Theodore Wilson, he was a professor of history at the University of Kansas. I'm thinking of someone else. Anyway, this book, it says here, it was published for the Eisenhower Foundation in Abilene, Kansas, by University Press of Kansas. Great. Let's see here. So, all right. We've got a foreword by General S.D. Eisenhower. I think it's his son or his grandson. And then another foreword after him that is written by Omar Bradley. The Normandy Invasion and Retrospect. So, look, this is fantastic. Let's see here. Oh, is this okay. The book itself on the title does not have a subtitle, so I don't know. I keep seeing this other thing come up. All right. So it's a collection of different pieces written by different folks, obviously, because there's an editor as opposed to an author. and he's brought them all together. And I don't have a blurb to read from, but I'll just read one of these things. This is what Stephen Ambrose said of this book. D-Day 1944 contains essays by the world's leading scholars on the invasion of France, covering all aspects of the greatest amphibious assault in history, combining new information and scholarship in a highly readable and instructive volume. Recommended without hesitation or qualification. And that's from Stephen E. Ambrose himself. So, do you think I've got enough books on D-Day or what? Well, I think I have enough to become a semi-amateur expert. So, I've got a lot to work on. I have one more book I want to show you. I just have to go grab it. 1 second. Okay, the final book I went and purchased on Amazon, and it was super marked down. Brand new. The book is not brand new, but I bought it brand new for super cheap. I had seen this book before, and I kept meaning to get it. And then finally, with this whole, 80th anniversary of D-Day thing, I was like, now's the time to pick up this book by an author I have read on some different topics. But this is Giles Milton, and this is Soldier, Sailor, Frogman, Spy, Airman, Gangster, Killer, Die. How the Allies Won on D-Day. It's put out by Henry Holt. And, it was super cheap. So I was like, I'm getting it now because now's the time to get it. Let's see here. All right. Giles Milton's bold new history narrates the events of June 6, 1944, through the tales of survivors from all sides. The teenage Allied conscript, the crack German defender, the French resistance fighter. From the military architects at Supreme Headquarters to the young schoolboy in the Wehrmacht's bunkers, Soldier, Sailor, Frogman, Spy lays bare the absolute terror of those trapped on the front line of D-Day. It also gives voice to those who have hitherto remained unheard. The French butcher's daughter, the panzer commander's wife, the chauffeur to the general staff. This vast canvas of human bravado reveals the longest day as never before, less as a masterpiece of strategic planning than a day in which thousands of scared young men found themselves staring death in the face. It is drawn in its entirety from the raw, unvarnished experiences of those who were there. And that's what drew me to this book. I do want to hear those first-person stories. I'm really interested in that, and just trying to understand what it was like for them. And I can't even imagine. This picture here, when I came across this earlier, and I was like, In this photo, American soldiers prepare for the 4-hour run. The 4-hour run-in to Utah Beach. So they were in these Higgins boats for 4 hours. And it says here, many were violently seasick. So it goes to show, it's like, we think maybe they were in there for only a few minutes in those Higgins boats running into the shore, but no, they were in there for hours. And that's that kind of in open swells, and yeah, I'm not surprised by the seasickness, but can you imagine just having to stand in that transport for 4 hours? Rocking and heaving, and not even knowing, like, these could be your last moments on Earth, and you're spending them retching your guts out. How awful. But they did it. They did it. And God bless them. God bless these men. So, Giles Milton, Soldier, Sailor, Frogman, Spy, Airman, Gangster, Killer, Die. What a great title. And that kind of rounds out my D-Day books that I'm bringing to you for your consideration. Like I said, we are continuing to read this month Stephen E. Ambrose's D-Day. My notes in there. Which I need to start. I need to get back into this as soon as I log off of here. I got some reading to do for the rest of the evening. Big surprise, right? That's what we do here at the History Shelf. We work, we read, we write, we work, we read, we write, and then we do videos sometimes. it's always hopping. So let me know what you think about my selections, and if I missed something big, which I probably have, it's up to you to set me straight in the comments below. Again, like I said, I kind of just cruised through my library fairly quickly, grabbed things off the shelves that I could identify quickly that were all about D-Day, as opposed to being just like part of a larger narrative. So yeah, that's what we've got going on, guys. So let me know what you think. And tell me below what you've been doing, if you've been doing anything to learn about D-Day or to just read more about it. If you are joining us along for the Stephen Ambrose read along, let me know what you're thinking of it so far. Oh, and let me also say, for anyone who's still around after 40 minutes, if you were interested in joining, we do have this very small Voxer group that I created, like a group chat for the Stephen E. Ambrose read along. It's just me, Bill, and Brian on there right now. But if you are interested, I need to know your handle, your Voxer handle, and then I can add you to the group. So right now for this week we I've got to set the parameters for this week's reading. It's up to me to do that. So I think this week we are tackling chapters 11 through I'm kind of eyeballing it because all of us are working, and I'm trying to get to about 100 pages or a little bit less. I'm gonna say we're gonna go from 11 to. We're gonna try to read chapters 11 through 16 for this week, the week of June. What is today? Today's Tuesday, right? Tuesday. We're going to read chapters 11 through 15. So stop at 16. Don't even start reading 16. So we'll be reading 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 5 chapters. We'll be reading 5 chapters. I got someone else outside. This week. Then we usually try to wrap up our thoughts by Sunday. Sometimes it goes into Monday. And I'm a little late today leaving my messages for chapters 6 through 10. But anyway, if you still want to join us, please do and let me know in the comments below. All right, so we've got that going on. And also, another plea, if you haven't watched, just watch part of it. The interview with Colonel Nightingale and myself, it's linked below in the description box. I highly encourage you to do it. I've heard from several people who watched it and that they wanted to share it with nothing about me. It's all about just how dynamic a speaker and what a fabulous, just a career and history of Colonel Nightingale, and just how he speaks about Normandy and his affection for the old soldiers and the generals, and and his experiences with them, having gone to Normandy every year to do the staff rides. Please watch it for that, because people have really commented on the fascinating insights that Colonel Nightingale shares in that interview. So just give it a peek, and let me know what you think. And thanks again, guys, for just coming along with me on this journey. Doing D-Day. June is D-Day month for me. And yeah. Anyway, I'll let you go for now. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm so happy you joined me here on the History Shelf. And until next time, ciao.